Welcome to a brand new episode of the Jampack Report today for August the 18th of 2020. Of course, my name is Samuel Adams and this is a daily gaming news podcast meant to bring you the hottest news you need to know from around the industry. Hosted on YouTube and podcast services around the world 5 days a week, it is your one-stop shop for everything you need to know. So if you enjoy the show and you like what you see, hit that subscribe button and keep coming back for more. But today we got some very bad news that could set a precedent for the rest of the year. Both Deathloop and the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe are the latest games to get delayed into 2021. Two more games, originally set to release later this year, have been pushed back to 2021 due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Both Deathloop and the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe are now slated to launch sometime next year as the coronavirus continues to disrupt the development of both titles. Both Arkane Studios and Crows addressed their respective communities in separate update posts shared on Twitter, commenting that due to multiple development challenges, including COVID-related impacts, both games would have to be delayed to a new 2021 release window to ensure they have enough time to develop the games. Deathloop is a new intellectual property by Arkane's Lion Studio, the developer of Dishonored series and the 2017 version of Prey. Players control either Colt or Juliana, two assassins stuck in a time loop in a mysterious island called Black Reef. During Sony's PS5 event, it was revealed by Jeff Keighley that Deathloop would be a timed PlayStation exclusive. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe is an expanded version of the Stanley Parable, which was previously available on PC. The Ultra Deluxe edition will mark the first time the game has been released on home consoles and include content not found in its previous versions, like new endings. There are currently 19 different endings available in the original, each hilariously wild in its own way. Deathloop and the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe are not the only games to be delayed from a late 2020 launch to 2021. Last week, Microsoft announced that instead of launching Halo Infinite alongside the Xbox Series X in November, the game would launch sometime in 2021. Bungie's next big expansion for Destiny 2 was pushed back to November, and the PS4 exclusive The Last of Us Part 2 was also delayed due to the coronavirus earlier this year, before eventually releasing on June the 19th. So this is a piece of news that very well, as I said, could set a precedent for the months to come. Now, Benji Sales is somebody who shares a lot of sales-related information from the gaming industry on Twitter, and he posed the question, do we think this is the end? I replied, absolutely not, because quite frankly, the summer period was a period of hope for game developers. If you push hard now, and if you continue to work from home very diligently, then these fall releases and winter releases could still happen. But now we are getting towards the end of August, the beginning of September. More and more time is passing, and the reality of the situation is setting in, and that reality for many developers is that, quite frankly, you are not going to be able to finish the project on time at the capacity that you would like to finish it at, which could be a very bad piece of news for, of course, the development team, the publisher, and the players themselves. This is not going to be the last time that we talk about this kind of news story before the end of the year, because right now, as I said, the realities are sinking in, and Deathloop could just be one of many games to get delayed. And the big question that I really want to pose here is, how big of an impact will this kind of delay have on this holiday season, specifically in regards to new console sales? Right now, the launch lineup for both the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X is largely lacking. There are some games that are certainly going to stand out, and there are many current generation games that are going to be receiving enhancements, but at the end of the day, it's going to be such a skimpy lineup, and that's just being frank for both sides of the fence, that it seems like it could be a very rough season for those that are jumping on board early on. And for others that might be choosing to wait for a new console, they could actually end up reaping the benefits of that patience. But we will see what happens as the year continues to roll on. Of course, I hope that I'm incorrect, and I hope that these teams can put out their games and that things can go off without a hitch. But Deathloop was certainly a very big PlayStation 5 timed exclusive that is now going to be coming out in 2021. How will that shift the launch for the rest of the consoles, and how will it impact Deathloop as a whole? That is still yet to be seen. Now, unfortunately, the Stanley Parable does kind of take a back seat in this specific situation, because Deathloop is a much larger AAA game, but very interesting to see that that game has gotten delayed too, showing that it impacts not only what I would consider to be big AAA games, but also smaller indies as well. But moving on to another big story for the day, a new report has come out from The Guardian that says Rocksteady Games leadership ignored reports of sexual harassment. Of course, this is one of many stories that has come out over the course of 2020 highlighting potential issues within the gaming industry. Rocksteady Games is best known for its work on the Batman Arkham series. It's also working on an upcoming Suicide Squad title, which is being revealed at DC Fandom. Unfortunately, according to a report from The Guardian, leadership issues are allegedly failing to address sexual harassment at the studio. The article reports that in November 2018, over half of the women at the studio brought a letter to the leadership team, raising complaints about the use of slurs towards transgender employees, unwanted advances, and instances of people discussing a woman in a derogatory or sexual manner with other colleagues. Quote, "I have heard everything from groping claims to incidents involving senior staff, all of whom are men," one signer who asked to remain anonymous told The Guardian. The only action reportedly taken was a 1-hour training seminar. Several of the women who signed the letter later left the studio over a lack of action taken. Kim McCaskill, a writer who worked on the upcoming Suicide Squad game, publicly asked not to be credited for her work due to the reports of harassment. When The Guardian contacted Rocksteady for comment, management held an all-hands meeting to address the letter. As a result of this meeting, new initiatives are reportedly being taken to prevent harassment in the future. In a statement, a Rocksteady spokesperson said, quote, "In 2018, we received a letter from some of our female employees expressing concerns that they had at the time, and we immediately took firm measures to address the matters that were raised. Over the subsequent 2 years, we have carefully listened to and learned from our employees, working to ensure every person on the team feels supported. In 2020, we are more passionate than ever to continue to develop our inclusive culture, and we are determined to stand up for all of our staff." This news comes at a time when a wave of abuse and misconduct reports have gone through the gaming industry. Ubisoft has fired or let go of multiple executives, even as more staff are accused of sexual harassment. And one of the signers who shared the Rocksteady letter with The Guardian cited some of these recent examples as part of the reason for exposing the company. So this is, again, one of many reports that has come out, and it seems like Rocksteady has made strides to address the issues that were brought up by these women and people that were impacted by this issue. So hopefully the problems are being addressed, and hopefully they have been addressed, and the culture has improved. But as always, a lot of people are going to see this in Twitter feeds, and it's going to either just gloss over them, or it's going to potentially even bring up questions as to why is this kind of thing still being discussed. It's incredibly important that everybody that is working on a game, whether it be on the creative marketing team, whether it be on the development team, whether it be in the writing team, whatever area they are in, it's important to have people that want to come to work, that are happy, because of the fact that humanity generally works better whenever we are happy and satisfied. On top of that, what's the point of having a workplace that makes you miserable and feel like you aren't part of a group, or in general are being abused when you come to work? That's no way to work. That's no way to live. It's important that you bring these issues to light to make a better place to work, because at the end of the day, that makes people happier first and foremost. But on top of that, it makes the work better because people are happier and they can focus more on the work than on the issues that are impacting the corporate workplace. So with all that being said, hopefully Rocksteady's issues have come and gone, but there's always work to be done and of course maintenance to be done to ensure this kind of value remains upheld. Now, another very controversial story to dive into. You will need a Facebook account to use Oculus devices in the future, and people are not happy. Oculus is owned by social media giant Facebook, and the VR firm has traditionally kept its parent company away from its policy decisions. That is set to change. In a recent tweet, Oculus announced that all users must log in with a Facebook account when they use an Oculus device for the first time, and many people are not happy with the news. According to follow-up tweets, existing users will have the option to merge their Oculus account with their Facebook account, and if a user chooses not to merge their account, they can continue using their Oculus account until January 1st, 2023, when the company will end support for Oculus accounts. Past that date, devices will continue to work, but not at full functionality, whatever that means. The policy change was met with widespread condemnation on social media, with many users saying that they are unwilling to merge their accounts or that they deleted their Facebook accounts years ago. Oculus claims that the move will make it easier for users to find, connect, and play with friends in VR. However, that is not enough to offset general displeasure with the use of Facebook, even prompting public responses from some prominent game developers. Among those to speak out is God of War director Cory Barlog, who shared his thoughts in no uncertain terms. He says, "Fuck, I love my Quest, but seriously, fuck Facebook. I deleted my account years ago and will never go back. Oh well, guess I'm going to have to find another VR solution in the coming years. Lame." End quote. Of course, many more people are voicing their concerns, but Oculus is currently working on its much-rumored Oculus Quest 2. A mock-up of the still unconfirmed headset emerged in July, but it's not clear if it is legit. So this is one of those situations where I thought that this would be coming at some point in the future, and here we are. Of course, Facebook bought Oculus a few years ago, and since then they have been continually developing new VR experiences, and lo and behold, it seems that Facebook is finally beginning to encapsulate the Oculus brand even more than it did before. So what does this mean for users? You either, of course, adopt a Facebook account and maintain full use of your system, or you don't adopt a Facebook account and you have a limited access to your piece of hardware to some degree. What that exactly means is yet to be announced. This is not the best way to do business. Facebook is not the best company. Personally, I have a Facebook. I use it for Facebook gaming, but there are certainly a lot of issues when it comes to harnessing data, when it comes to leveraging the power of data to not only create a more curated experience for users, but to, again, have that data and track a lot of the movements online of people that use Facebook, again, to curate better ads and to essentially become better at selling you products. That's from what I have gathered online. And so this is unfortunate because, again, a lot of people that are online and active in the space do not use Facebook and they choose to forego it completely, and that is perfectly understandable, but certainly an interesting piece of news that is going to shape the future of the VR space. We will see if Oculus backpedals on this, but even if they do, Facebook is behind the change, even if it is backpedaling to where it was before. But a new change has come about at Electronic Arts because EA Play is the new name for EA Access and Origin Access, and it's launching on Steam on August the 31st. The name's the same, but there's some new benefits and a new platform. Electronic Arts announced today that the EA Access and Origin Access subscription services are being renamed EA Play. Meanwhile, Origin Access Premier, which includes day one access to all new EA titles, is being named EA Play Pro. The prices will remain the same, with EA Play costing $4.99 per month and EA Play Pro costing $14.99 per month. We have previously shared that EA Access was coming to Steam, and now EA has confirmed that the newly renamed EA Play will launch on August the 31st. This comes as part of EA's newfound push for allowing its games on Steam, which started with Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order in November 2019. Several other games have been added since, including the Dead Space and Mass Effect series. EA Play subscribers get 10% off of all games and DLC, access to a collection of games, and get to try new games for 10 hours. In addition to all of these remaining benefits, EA Play subscribers will start to get unique drops for in-game items. For example, players in Star Wars Squadrons will get the Interceptor Elegance helmet and the Ashen Monarch Starfighter paint job set. So this is finally a move to eliminate Origin Access and the other pointless EA Access. I don't know why this has been a division for so long, but these are essentially the same service, but one is on consoles, one is on PC. Now finally you have EA Play. This is going to get confusing whenever you begin to have these big EA Play conferences. Now, of course, I think those are actually called EA Play Access or something along those lines, but it is a bit confusing when it comes down to the nomenclature that Electronic Arts has been working on and continues to work on currently. So we'll see what happens with this one. Of course, the service is a very significant one that rivals things like Game Pass, PlayStation Now, etc. It's not streaming, but it certainly is one that is going to be a big boost for those that are sports fans or that are looking forward to future Electronic Arts titles. Of course, EA is a very significant company, one that has a lot of movement behind it. So we will see where this lands and see the popularity on PC over the course of the next few months, but it is going to be launching on Steam on August the 31st. And finally, to round out today's show, speaking of services, Xbox Game Pass is getting some new games for August, and of course, some are heading out. One of the new games coming to Xbox Game Pass is Microsoft Flight Simulator for PC, which was released today. The other title is Spiritfarer, available for both PC and Xbox One. It's a management game about dying where you play as Stella the Spiritfarer. You will build a boat to search for spirits seeking passage to the afterlife, and in your handcrafted ferry, you will befriend these spirits, but the game also features farming, mining, harvesting, cooking, and crafting, and constructed platforming levels. You can play co-op with a friend who will play as Daffodil the Cat, an optional 2-player local co-op. On August the 30th, Battletoads will arrive on the service. That same day, the excellent Don't Starve Giant Edition arrives for both console and PC, while Darksiders Genesis and Crossing Souls will land for PC. Crossing Souls is set in California during Crossing Souls is set in California during and friends a group of friends making a mysterious discovery in the woods outside of town. Stephanie Nunnally, come on, get your shit together. Anyways, this item is an artifact with powers that and will find the... What? Okay, Crossing Souls is set in California during and friends a group of friends making a mysterious discovery in the woods outside of town. This item is an artifact, so this is what was discovered, with powers, and will find the kids defying the laws of nature by interacting between the two planes of life and death. All the while, this will get them involved in a government conspiracy along with a U.S. Army general with his own nefarious plans. What a horribly written piece of copy. New Super Lucky's Tale arrives for console and PC on August 21st. On August 27th, Hypnospace Outlaw comes to console and PC. In this 90s internet simulator, you will search weird and wonderful websites to hunt down wrongdoers. Be sure to keep an eye out on your inbox and try to avoid viruses and adware. You will also download some apps and customize your HypnoS desktop with wallpapers, screensavers, and helper bots. That same day, the first chapter of Tell Me Why also arrives on PC and Xbox One. Tell Me Why is split into 3 chapters, and each will release a week apart. Set in a small town in Alaska, Tell Me Why places you at the heart of a mystery where twins Tyler and Allison Ronan use their bond to unravel mysteries and memories of a loving but troubled childhood. August 28th sees the release of Wasteland 3 and Double Kick Heroes, both for PC and Xbox One. The latter was recently included in our weekly indie game column they write at VG247. Grand strategy title Crusader Kings 2 comes to the service on PC on September the 1st, and RE7 will arrive for both console and PC on September the 3rd. That, personally, is my most anticipated game for Game Pass for the month of August. New titles coming to the service also means some will leave. August 31st will see the removal of Creature in the Well, Guyana Sisters Twisted Dreams Director's Cut, Metal Gear Solids 2 and 3 HD, Metro Last Light Redux, and the Jackbox Party Pack 3. Leaving September 1st is NBA 2K20, and Red Dead Redemption 2 will leave the service on September the 7th. That last one, actually those last two, a very big blow to the service, but that could be leaving an open spot for this holiday season as more big third-party games come to Game Pass. But that rounds out today's episode of the Jampack Report. If you enjoyed today's show, drop me a like down below and let me know what you think about everything we talked about here today. Would love to hear your thoughts. But until tomorrow, you guys have a fantastic rest of your night. I'll talk to you soon, and peace.